The soprano's voice cracked on the final amen, but it was the baritone that shattered Nicholas Hale's world, a deep, resonant timbre slicing through the incense-heavy air of St. Bartholomew's Episcopal Church like a switchblade through fog. He froze in the shadowed vestibule, his polished loafers rooted to the worn marble floor, heart slamming against his ribs as if it meant to escape. 30 years of silence. And there it was, Andrew's voice, unmistakable, weaving through the choir's fade-out like smoke from a long-extinguished fire. Nicholas hadn't come to pray. Not really. At 52, with the weight of a Wall Street career that had chewed him up and spat him out, divorce papers still fresh in his desk drawer, he'd wandered into this Manhattan sanctuary on a whim, seeking the kind of quiet that money couldn't buy. The city outside roared with November chill and taxi horns, but inside, the vaulted ceilings swallowed sound, offering a fragile truce. He'd slipped into a back pew just as the service began, anonymous in his charcoal overcoat, nursing a black coffee from the street vendor like it was holy water. The hymns had washed over him, rote and comforting, until that solo verse in Amazing Grace. The singer's pitch-perfect vulnerability hit him like a gut punch, dragging up ghosts he'd buried deeper than his grandmother's ashes. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, the words hung, and Nicholas's breath caught. Couldn't be. Andrew was gone, vanished into the ether of a fabricated family lie, shipped off like yesterday's trash because he dared to kiss a boy in the hayloft at 14. Their grandmother, Evelyn Hale, iron-fisted matriarch of the crumbling Kentucky farm, had whispered poison into the ears of social services. He's troubled, running wild. Take him before he drags us all down. Nicholas, the good twin, had stood silent in the kitchen doorway, 9 years old and terrified, clutching a chipped mug of milk as the caseworker led his mirror-image brother away in a dusty sedan. Andrew had twisted in the back seat, eyes locking on Nicholas's through the window, pleading, accusing, until the gravel crunched and he was gone. That silence had defined Nicholas. It echoed through his Ivy League scholarships, his mergers and acquisitions deals, his loveless marriage to Sarah, a Vassar girl who mistook his emotional distance for ambition. She'd left him 2 years ago, citing irreconcilable silences. And in the divorce, he'd lost the brownstone on the Upper East Side but kept the guilt. A leaden companion that shadowed every hookup in dimly lit Chelsea bars, every half-hearted therapy session where he'd murmur, "I'm fine, really," gay in a world that had taught him to hide. He'd armored himself in Brooks Brothers suits and bourbon neat, convincing no one, least of all himself. Now, as the congregation stirred, wealthy parishioners in cashmere folding bulletins, the organist packing sheet music, Nicholas rose on unsteady legs. The choir filed out from the chancel, robes swishing like whispers, and there, third from the left, was the man. Taller than memory allowed, silver threading his dark curls. But the jawline, the slight crook in the nose from that childhood fall off the barn roof, it was Andrew. Singing still, under his breath, as if the melody were oxygen. Nicholas's pulse thundered. He pushed forward, weaving through the milling crowd, past a cluster of blue-haired ladies discussing the poinsettia fund. "Excuse me," he muttered, voice hoarse, but the word dissolved into the post-service chatter. Andrew descended the steps, laughing at something the choir director, a wiry man with a salt and pepper beard, said, clapping him on the back. Close, the resemblance was a mirror cracked by time. Same high cheekbones, same ocean blue eyes, But Andrews carried a warmth Nicholas had long envied, a lightness that spoke of survival. Andy, the name slipped out, raw and boyish, before Nicholas could stop it. The singer turned, mid-stride, and the world narrowed to that moment. Andrew's smile faltered, then froze, his hymn book slipping from lax fingers to thud against the stone floor. The choir director frowned. Andrew, but Andrew didn't hear. His eyes, those impossible blue depths, widened in recognition, then flooded with something primal. Joy, fury, disbelief crashing like waves. "Nicky," it was a whisper, then a choke. He lunged forward, arms enveloping Nicholas in a bare hug that smelled of sandalwood soap and aged oak, the kind from Kentucky floors. Nicholas clung back, fabric bunching under his fists, tears hot on his cheeks as the church spun around them. Murmurs rippled, scandalized glances from the ushers, but it didn't matter. For the first time in 3 decades, Nicholas felt whole, the missing half slotting back into place with an ache that bordered on ecstasy. They pulled apart just enough to stare, foreheads nearly touching, breaths mingling in the sacred hush. "How?" Andrew rasped, voice thick. "I thought you were dead." Gran said, "She's the one who's gone." Nicholas cut in, the words bitter as bile. "Cancer, 10 years back. And she lied. Said you ran away, joined some cult in California." I looked, Andy. God, I looked everywhere. Andrew's laugh was broken, a sob disguised. "Cult? That old bat." He swiped at his eyes, glancing at the gathering crowd. "Come on. My place." "Not here. These gospel hens gossip faster than Fox News." Nicholas nodded, numb, as Andrew grabbed his elbow, steering him toward a side door. The choir director hovered, concern etching his brow. "Everything all right, Drew?" "Yeah, Paul. Family stuff. Catch you at rehearsal." Andrew's grin was forced, but it held, and they slipped into the crisp autumn air, the city enveloping them like an old, indifferent friend. Andrew's apartment was a third-floor walk-up in Hell's Kitchen, a far cry from the farm's creaking porches but worlds from Nicholas's sterile condo. It smelled of fresh basil and vinyl records, sunlight slanting through fire escape grates onto mismatched furniture, a sagging leather couch, bookshelves groaning with Broadway scores and dog-eared Vonnegut. "Coffee? Tea? Something stronger?" Andrew asked, shrugging off his robe to reveal a faded Radiohead tee and jeans that hugged his frame in a way that made Nicholas avert his eyes. Too familiar, too intimate. "Whatever you're having." Nicholas sank onto the couch, hands trembling as he shed his coat. The room spun with questions, but he started simple. "What happened after her?" Andrew busied himself at the kitchenette, filling a kettle, his back a canvas of tension. "Foster care roulette. Bounced around Ohio mostly, good people, bad ones. Figured out I was gay pretty quick, but by then it was old news. Got into music at a community center, voice lessons on scholarship. Landed in New York at 22, waitering off-Broadway until I clawed my way into choirs, backups for cruise ships. Now I teach voice at a community college and sing for weddings that pay the rent." He turned, 2 mugs in hand, steam curling like secrets. "Your turn, twin." Wall Street Wolf. "Huh?" Gran would have approved. Nicholas snorted, accepting the mug, chamomile, unexpectedly gentle. "She approved too much. Pushed me into it. said it was stability. I climbed, burned out, got married to a woman who deserved better. Divorced now. No kids. Just deals and regrets. He paused, throat tight. And you? God. Andy, I should have fought her. I was a kid. But, stop. Andrew sat across from him, knees nearly touching, eyes fierce. You were 9. She was a goddamn hurricane in pearls. Blame her. Not you. But his voice cracked, and he looked away, toward a framed photo on the mantel. Him at 30, arms around a broad-shouldered man with a sailor's grin, both in Hawaiian shirts on some beach. The man was gone now, lost to AIDS in the 90s. Andrew had whispered once in a letter Nicholas never received. They talked for hours, the autumn light bleeding into dusk, piecing together parallel lives like a fractured quilt. Andrew had searched too, sporadically, through registries and dead-end letters, but Evelyn's web of lies had been thorough. Nicholas confessed his own hidden flings, furtive nights in college dorms, a lover in the 80s who vanished into the epidemic's maw. I thought if I just worked harder, I'd forget, Nicholas said, voice low. But it's always been there. The emptiness. Andrew reached across, squeezing his hand, calloused from guitar strings, warm against Nicholas's clammy palm. Welcome to the club, brother. But hey, you're here now. That's the plot twist. Laughter bubbled up, tentative, then real, echoing off the brick walls. For the first time, Nicholas felt the knot in his chest loosen, just a fraction. But as night fell and they ordered Thai from the corner spot, sharing pad CEW on paper plates, a shadow lingered. Andrew's eyes darted to his phone when it buzzed. A text from Paul, the choir director. Rehearsal tomorrow? Miss your voice already. Innocent. But Nicholas caught the flush on Andrew's neck, the subtle avoidance. He didn't press. Not yet. Instead, they promised weekly dinners, swapped numbers like teenagers. As Nicholas stepped into the elevator, the city lights winking below, he felt a spark, hope, fragile as a match flame. But deep down, he knew, reunions unearthed bones, and theirs weren't fully buried. The next morning, Nicholas woke in his condo to the hum of the East River traffic, the skyline a jagged promise. He called in sick to the firm, first time in years, and met Andrew for lunch at a diner on 9th Avenue, Formica counters sticky with syrup ghosts. Over eggs and hash, Andrew spilled more. The foster homes where he'd hidden his sketchbooks filled with boys' faces, the first time he'd sung in a gay chorus during Pride, voice breaking on Over the Rainbow. It saved me, he said, forking a bite. Music's the one thing Gran couldn't steal. Nicholas nodded, but his mind wandered to Evelyn's Bible, thumped on the kitchen table like a gavel. Leviticus don't lie. Boy, this ain't natural. The memory soured the coffee in his gut. She wrote me once, before she died. Apologized, sort of. Said it was for the best. Burned the letter. Andrew's fork paused. Wish I could have spit on her grave. They laughed again, but it rang hollow. After lunch, Andrew dragged him to a matinee of Rent, bootleg seats in the nosebleeds, but the anthems hit like therapy. Nicholas, who'd always preferred boardrooms to ballads, found himself humming Seasons of Love, Andrew's baritone blending seamlessly beside him. In the dark, their shoulders brushed, a casual anchor. That night, alone with a scotch, Nicholas scrolled Andrew's sparse social media, choir pics, cat memes, a post from last Christmas. Silent night, holy shit, another year solo. It twisted something in him. He texted, thanks for today. Feels like breathing again. Andrew's reply buzzed instant. Ditto, Nikki. Tomorrow, Central Park. Feed the ducks like we used to. Nicholas smiled, but sleep evaded. Dreams tangled, hayloft kisses, caseworker's flashlight, Andrew's voice calling from a choir loft turned abyss. He woke sweating, dawn painting the walls gold. The search wasn't over, it had just begun. Weeks blurred into a rhythm, fragile and fervent. Tuesdays at Andrew's for meatloaf, his recipe, tweaked with sriracha from a Thai foster mom. Thursdays, voice lessons where Nicholas, tone-deaf but game, mangled scales while Andrew howled with laughter. They walked the High Line at dusk, leaves crunching underfoot, trading stories of almost loves. Nicholas's architect ex in San Francisco, gone after September 11th, Andrew's barista beau who ghosted for a trust fund kid. But cracks spiderwebbed. One rainy evening, post-rehearsal beers at a dive called the Eagle, leather daddies and twinks mingling under neon, Andrew got quiet. Paul's been persistent, he admitted, nursing a pint. Good guy. Divorced. Like you. Thinks I'm playing hard to get. Nicholas's stomach nodded. Paul, with his easy charm and shared glances during hymns. You like him? Andrew shrugged, eyes on the barback's tattooed arms. Maybe. Haven't let anyone in since Marco. Feels like tempting fate. Marco, the beach photo man, dead at 38 from complications no cocktail could touch. The 90s had been a graveyard for their kind. Take the leap, Nicholas urged, though jealousy flickered, irrational and sharp. You deserve it. Andrew's gaze sharpened. What about you? Still swiping right on suits that ghost by morning. Nicholas flushed. Work in progress. The conversation veered, but the seed lodged. That weekend, Nicholas caved to a grinder match, a lithe graphic designer named Theo, all tattoos and wit. Dinner at a bistro in the village. Oysters, red wine, Theo's foot tracing his calf under the table. It was easy, electric, the kind of heat Nicholas craved but feared. They tumbled into Theo's loft, bodies urgent against exposed brick. Theo's whispers, "You're gorgeous," like a storm, unraveling him. Morning brought regret, soft but insistent. Theo wanted coffee, plans. Nicholas begged off with a work lie. In the cab home, rain sheeting the windows, he texted Andrew hungover. Brunch? Always, came the reply. My place. Bring bagels. But as Nicholas dozed that afternoon, phone buzzing with Theo's call me? A call from his lawyer pierced the haze. Estate papers from Evelyn's will, unsealed after probate. There's a box, the man said. Came with it. Letters, photos. For your brother, if you find him. Nicholas's blood ran cold. He met Andrew that evening, box tucked under his arm like contraband. They sat on the fire escape, city lights twinkling below, as Andrew sifted through yellowed envelopes. His own childish scrawl, returned unopened. Photos of the farm. Evelyn's stern face faded to sepia. One letter stopped them cold. Evelyn's hand, spidery and final. Andrew, my sin was fear. I gave you away to save you from me. Forgive if you can. Love, Gran. Andrew crumpled it, tears splashing the paper. "Save me? She damned me." Nicholas pulled him close, arms a bulwark against the wind. "She damned us both." Their hug lingered, brotherly but charged, the line blurring in grief's fog. When Andrew pulled back, his eyes searched Nicholas's, vulnerable, searching. "Stay tonight? Couch is yours." Nicholas nodded, heart pounding. They talked till dawn, ghosts exorcised in whispers. Sleep came fitful, Nicholas on the lumpy sofa, Andrew's snores a lullaby from the bedroom. But in the witching hour, a creak, Andrew, silhouette in the doorway, glass of water in hand. "Can't sleep." "Me neither." Nicholas sat up, sheet pooling at his waist. Andrew perched on the arm, close enough to touch. "This. It's a lot." "Yeah." Nicholas's voice was gravel. He reached, hesitant, fingers brushing Andrew's knee. Not lovers, never that, but twins, souls mirrored, the pull magnetic. Andrew didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned, forehead to Nicholas's, breath sinking. "I missed you, Nicky. Every damn day." The dam broke then, quiet sobs shared in the dark. No kisses, no crossings, just the raw ache of reunion, 30 years late. Morning found them tangled in platonic exhaustion, bagels forgotten. But fate, that cruel choreographer, had more acts. Paul's invitation came midweek, a choir holiday concert, VIP seats for family. Andrew accepted, dragging Nicholas along. The cathedral glowed with candlelight, voices soaring in Messiah choruses. Andrew's solo, "He shall feed his flock," drew gasps, his tenor pure as winter air. After, in the green room, Paul cornered them, champagne flutes in hand. "You two spitting image. Brothers. Twins," Andrew said, arm slung casual over Nicholas's shoulder. Paul's eyes lingered, praising, then warmed. "Lucky man." The flirtation simmered through eggnog toasts, Paul drawing Andrew into corner chats about Arius, hands brushing. Nicholas watched from the sidelines, a third wheel in his own miracle, the old jealousy coiling tighter. By midnight, as snow dusted the streets, Paul hailed a cab for 3. "My place? Hot toddies. No pressure." Andrew glanced at Nicholas, question in his eyes. "Up to you, twin." Nicholas forced a smile. "Go." "I'll walk." But as the cab pulled away, Andrew's silhouette waving, regret hit like frostbite. Alone in the blizzard, Nicholas realized, finding his brother hadn't filled the void. It had cracked it wider. The snow fell thicker as Nicholas trudged uptown, flakes catching in his lashes like unshed tears, the city a muffled watercolor of halos and shadows. Paul's cab had vanished around the corner, taillights winking like a flirt's goodbye, and Nicholas told himself it was fine. Andrew deserved a night off script, a chance at the normalcy their grandmother had stolen. But the lie tasted like ash, mingling with the chill that seeped through his wool coat. By the time he reached his building on Park Avenue, numb fingers fumbling the doorman's key, doubt had rooted deep. Was he holding Andrew back? This ghost from Kentucky clinging like kudzu? Sleep was a skirmish, one in fits between replays of the green room, Paul's easy laugh, the way Andrew's eyes lit when their hands grazed. Nicholas woke to a gray dawn, phone silent save for Theo's unanswered texts. He showered hot, scalding away the night, then called in late to the office, Personal matter. His boss, a harried VP with a comb-over, grunted approval. Nicholas's track record bought leeway. Mid-morning brought Andrew's buzz. Survived the toddies. Paul's a flirt, but harmless. Brunch. Dean and DeLuca. 11. Relief flooded. Warm as contraband. There in 20. Nicholas dressed sharp. Oxford shirt. No tie, hailing a cab through slush-choked streets. The gourmet market hummed with holiday prep. Yuppies juggling lattes and lobster rolls. Twinkling lights strung like promises. Andrew waited by the cheese counter. Cheeks flushed from cold or something else. A paper bag of croissants in hand. You look like hell, Andrew teased, pulling him into a one-armed hug that lingered a beat too long. Blame the snow, Nicholas grinned, but his eyes scanned for signs. Lipstick smudges? Paul was straight, right? Divorced meant. No, just Andrew's usual dishevel. Stubble shadowing that familiar jaw, scarf askew. They claimed a corner table, steam rising from quiches as Andrew spilled. Paul's place is a museum, first editions everywhere. We talked shop till 2. Then he crashed on the couch. Nothing happened. A pause. Fork spearing yolk. But felt good. Being wanted. You know, Nicholas nodded, throat tight around his bite of ham and cheese. Yeah. Theo's been texting. Might see him again. Andrew's brow arched. Playful. The inked-up artist? Go for it. Life's too short for safe. The words echoed Evelyn's ghost. Play it straight, boys, or pay the price, but Nicholas pushed it down. They shifted to safer ground, holiday plans. Andrew's choir gig at Lincoln Center. Nicholas's firm party, dreaded tux, open bar. Come with, Nicholas blurted. As my +1. Show those sharks what real talent looks like. Andrew laughed, but his eyes softened. Tempting. But I've got a wedding sing-along that night. Rich aunt in Connecticut. Pays double. Rain check. Then, the loss stung. Minor but accumulating. That afternoon, Nicholas dove into work. Spreadsheets a balm for the unease. But the box from Evelyn haunted his desk drawer. Its contents spilled in his mind. That letter, the photos of twin toddlers in overalls, grinning gap-toothed at the camera. He digitized them last night, emailing copies to Andrew with a note. Proof we were happy once. Andrew's reply, still are. Miss the farm's lightning bugs. Evening found Nicholas at Theo's loft again. The designer answering the door in paint-splattered sweats. Grin wide as the Hudson. Knew you'd cave. They cooked. Pasta primavera. Theo chopping garlic with theatrical flair. Then tumbled to the rug. Bodies mapping each other in firelight. Theo was firecracker sharp. Tracing Nicholas's scars, emotional. Mostly, with lips and questions. What's the heaviest thing you've carried? My brother, Nicholas murmured. Post-climax his loosening tongues. He told fragments, the separation. The search, Theo listening rapt. Fingers carding his hair. Sounds epic. Like a novel. Theo propped on elbow. Eyes dark pools. You found him. That's the win. Nicholas pulled him close. But the warmth faded by morning. Theo wanted weekends. Labels. Nicholas demurred. Citing work. In the cab home. Guilt gnawed. Andrew's voice in his head. Life's too short. He texted Andrew, Theo's intense. Thinking of bailing. Don't. Came quick. Dive in. I'll be your wingman if it tanks. Gratitude swelled. They met for drinks that night at a speakeasy off Times Square, velvet curtains muffling the tourist throng. Andrew arrived windswept from rehearsal, choir folder under arm, ordering Manhattans like it was 1950. "Paul cornered me today," he said, cherry stem twirling. "Wants to grab dinner." Solo. Nicholas's glass paused mid-sip. "Say yes." Andrew eyed him, probing. "Jealous? Of what? Happiness?" But the word landed flat. Andrew leaned in, voice low. "You're my anchor, Nicky. Always were. But I need to float sometimes." The truth landed like a slap. Gentle, necessary. Nicholas raised his glass. To floating, they clinked, but the bourbon burned. Later, walking Andrew home through holiday lights, Rockefeller tree aglow like a beacon, Nicholas confessed the box's deeper cut. A hidden codicil in Evelyn's will, unearthed by the lawyer. She left the farm to heirs plural, me and you. Joint. Andrew stopped under a street lamp, snowflakes haloing his hair. The old money pit? Why now? Redemption? Maybe. Nicholas shrugged. We could sell. Or visit. Scatter her ashes in the creek she hated. Andrew's laugh was misty. Twisted poetry. Let's do it. Road trip. Post-holidays. The plan ignited something, closure, adventure. They parted with a hug, Nicholas hailing a cab, the city a glittering stage. But alone, scrolling Theo's flirty emojis, doubt crept. Was he floating, or just adrift? December accelerated, a whirlwind of tinsel and tension. Nicholas threw himself into Theo, dinners at hole-in-the-wall ramen joints, midnight sketches where Theo drew him nude by candlelight, body a landscape of lines and shadows. You're my muse, Theo whispered, charcoal-smudged fingers on Nicholas's thigh. It was intoxicating, this vulnerability, but echoes of Andrew's caution rang. Dive in. He did, tentatively, introducing Theo to a colleague at a holiday mixer, enduring the raised brows and partner, queries with a nod. Andrew, meanwhile, bloomed under Paul's pursuit. Dinner turned to dates, museums, jazz clubs. Texts flew. Paul's got moves, salsa lesson tomorrow. Wish me luck, Nicholas replied, thumbs up. But screenshots of Andrew's grin with Paul, cheek kiss at the Met, twisted the knife. Brotherly pride warred with something darker. Fear of loss. Redux. Christmas Eve. Nicholas hosted a quiet dinner. Theo, Andrew, and Paul squeezed around his condo's glass table, skyline twinkling beyond. Turkey carved with flair. Theo's gift of a leather-bound journal for your brother's story. Paul's bottle of single malt to new chapters. Laughter flowed. Easy at first, Andrew's off-key carols, Theo's tales of gallery openings. But as midnight neared, candles guttering, Paul pulled Andrew aside for a slow dance in the living room, Coltrane crooning from the speakers. Nicholas watched from the kitchen, wineglass stem snapping in his grip. Theo noticed, hand on his arm. You okay? Fine. The sight, Andrew's head on Paul's shoulder, eyes closed in surrender, stirred the old void. Not jealousy of Paul, exactly, but of the ease, the forward motion. Nicholas had found his twin, yet felt unmoored. Theo drew him to the balcony, city lights a frozen river below. Talk to me. It's complicated. Nicholas leaned on the rail, breath fogging. He spilled it all, the farm's ghosts, Evelyn's shadow, the terror that loving meant losing. Theo listened, then kissed him soft. You're not losing him. You're gaining. All of us. The words anchored, partial. They rejoined the party, toasts to the new year, but Nicholas's eyes lingered on Andrew, dancing oblivious. Boxing Day brought the road trip south. Just the twins in Nicholas's rented SUV. Theo kissing him goodbye with a promise. Call from the holler. Paul had bowed out, family obligations, but sent Andrew a care package of mixtapes. For the drive. Interstate 81 unspooled. Appalachia rising in mist-shrouded ridges. Radio flipping between country twang and Andrew's hummed show tunes. They stopped for barbecue in Roanoke. Sauce staining fingers as stories resurfaced. The time they swapped identities to skip school. Skinny dipping in the creek till lightning cracked. Laughter came freer now. Bourbon warmed from a flask Andrew produced. Paul's contraband. Night fell in Knoxville. Motel neon buzzing. One room. 2 queens. But sleep evaded. Andrew paced. Finally blurting. Paul said the L word last night. Over eggnog. Nicholas bolted upright. Heart stutter. And freaked me. Ran here instead. Andrew sank onto the bed's edge. Head in hands. What if I'm broken? Can't love without waiting for the hammer. You're not. Nicholas knelt. Hands on knees, mirror of their childhood comforts. Gran broke the world. We fix it. Andrew looked up. Eyes wet. How? Together. The word hung. Simple. Profound. They talked till dawn. Plans for the farm. Therapy maybe. A joint will to spite Evelyn. Sleep claimed them side by side. Clothes on. Breaths synced like a duet. Kentucky dawned foggy. The farm a relic. Sagging porch. Fields gone to weed. They wandered the acreage. Boots sinking in mud. Touching relics. A rusted swing set. The hayloft's ladder. In the kitchen. Dust motes danced as Andrew found Evelyn's Bible. Pages brittle. Her sins, he muttered. Then lit a match. Flames licking verses of judgment till ash snowed the floor. Outside, by the creek, they scattered the last of her, cremains from Nicholas's glovebox, into the current. To hell with forgiveness, Andrew said, but his voice cracked soft. Nicholas hugged him fierce. To us, the drive back was quieter, healed in fractures. New Year's Eve, Nicholas rang in with Theo at a rooftop bash. Fireworks bursting over the harbor. Andrew texted from Paul's. Kisses at midnight. You? Same. Nicholas replied. Theo's arms around him. Happy. Brother. But January chilled the idol. Theo's gallery show loomed. LA trip. 2 weeks and Nicholas panicked. The old flight reflex kicking. Stay, he begged over breakfast crepes. Or I go with. Theo's eyes narrowed. Hurt flashing. This isn't Kentucky, Nick. You can't run from roots by chaining me. The fight escalated. Accusations of walls. Demands for more. Theo left for the airport with a stiff hug. Call if you grow up. Nicholas spiraled. Downing scotch till Andrew showed. He copied post-holidays. He'll cool. Like Paul did when I bolted. Nicholas laughed bitter. Paul's got you locked. Andrew's smile faltered. Not locked. Leaning. The distinction stung. They crashed on the couch. Casablanca flickering, Bogey's regrets mirroring Nicholas's. Don't let this be us, Andrew murmured, head on shoulder. The what-ifs. I won't. Promise. Bow. But as Andrew slept, Nicholas stared at the screen, Ingrid Bergman's farewell echoing his fears. Theo's silence stretched, texts unread, voicemails stonewalled. Nicholas threw into work, but deals soured, focus frayed. Andrew's rehearsals consumed him too, Paul's invitations now weekends away. Skiing in Vermont, Andrew explained over hurried coffee. You and Theo should join, working on it. February's Valentines found Nicholas solo at a bar, nursing gin, when Paul texted, wrong number, Drew's solo tonight. Bees. Come support. Curiosity overrode pride. The church glowed, packed with couples, Andrew's voice soaring in a love song cycle, Schubert lieder, tender as dawn. Post-concert, Nicholas lingered in the nave, clapping as Andrew bowed, Paul beaming from the front row. Nicky, Andrew rushed him, sweat-damp robe clinging. You made it, couldn't miss, but his eyes flicked to Paul, the trio awkward in the cold lobby. Paul clapped his back. Join us? Late supper at Orso's. Nicholas demurred, early meeting. But Andrew's plea stopped him. Please. For me, the Italian joint buzzed. Candlelit tables heaped with tiramisu. Conversation flowed. Paul's ex-wife stories. Andrew's farm tales, but Nicholas felt peripheral. The third wheel grinding. As espresso arrived, Paul proposed, spring trip, all four of us. Tuscany. My treat. Theo's absence loomed, but Andrew's excitement sealed it. Say yes, twin. Fine. Nicholas toasted, but the wine soured. Home alone. He finally called Theo voicemail. Raw plea, I screwed up. Come back. Please. No reply. Dawn brought Andrew, coffee in hand. Paul's thrilled. About Tuscany. Great. Forced cheer. Andrew studied him. Theo, ghosted. The word broke. Andrew pulled him into a hug. Fierce. We'll fix it. Like the farm. But as they parted, Nicholas wondered, could twins mend what lovers broke? March slunk in like a hangover, the city thawing into puddles that mirrored Nicholas's mood. Reflective, mucky, prone to splashing the unwary. Theo's silence had calcified into a wall. His LA show a success splashed across Instagram, artsy selfies with bronze strangers, captions cryptic, chasing light, but no direct line to Nicholas. He'd unfollowed, then refollowed in a weak moment, liking a post of Theo's new mural, a swirling vortex of blues, like drowned eyes. The gesture went unseen, or ignored. Work offered no refuge. A hostile takeover soured. Nicholas's pitch savaged in a boardroom bloodbath. Get your head in the game. Hail, his boss snarled, and Nicholas nodded mute, the reprimand echoing Evelyn's old lash. Shape up or ship out. He drowned it in gym sessions, pounding treadmills till calves screamed, but sweat couldn't purge the ache. Andrew, blissfully, was a buoy. Their routine held, Sunday suppers at his walk-up, now spiced with Paul's drop-ins, bearing artisanal breads or obscure vinyls. Paul fit, damn him, a widower, cancer, not AIDS, with a dry wit that drew Andrew's laugh like sunlight. Nicholas played the gracious host, but barbs slipped, jabs at Paul's trust fund tenor. He was comfortably upper middle, choral director by trade. Andrew shot him looks. Behave. One drizzly Tuesday, post-yoga, Andrew's insistence. Loosen that spine, mister. Up tight. They sprawled on the fire escape, rain pattering the metal like Morse code. Andrew cracked a beer, passing it over. Spill. You've been a ghost. Nicholas exhaled smoke from an illicit cigarette, bad habit. Resurrected. Theo's done. Blocked me everywhere. And works a meat grinder. Andrew's nod was sage. Theo's loss. You're a catch, brooding, built. That jawline. Tease. But laced with truth. As for work. Quit. Life's not ledgers. Easy for you. Voices don't crash markets. Bitterness edged. Unfair. Andrew's eyes flashed rare steel. Don't saint me, Nikki. I crashed plenty, additions bombing. Marco's hospital bills bankrupting me. Singing's my armor. Same as your suits. Silence stretched. Rain filling it. Nicholas stubbed the cig. Contrite. Sorry. Just tired of losing. Andrew's hand found his. Squeeze firm. You didn't lose me. That's the win that counts. The contact grounded, electric in its familiarity. They lingered, shoulders touching, the city a distant hum. When Andrew pulled away, his voice softened. Paul's taking me to meet his kids this weekend. In Jersey. Big step. Nicholas's chest tightened. Pride. Loss. Proud of you. Andrew grinned. Boyish. Come. Moral support. Tempting. But I've got Tuscany prep. Lie. The trip loomed. But solo now. Paul had looped in a friend. Javier. A sculptor. For Nicholas. You'll hit it off. Paul's email read. Latino fire meets your quiet storm. Nicholas had agreed, desperate for distraction. The weekend passed in blur. Nicholas at a solo exhibit in Chelsea, half drunk on Merlot, critiquing abstracts that screamed his turmoil. Javier's profile pic promised charm, dark curls, easy smile but nerves churned. Tuscany, olive groves, wine tours, for men in a villa pretending at harmony. Andrew's Jersey jaunt went swimmingly. Per text, kids adore me. Paul's glowing. Nicholas replied heart emoji, then deleted a follow-up, wish I had that. Spring equinox brought bloom literal, cherry blossoms powdering the park, and a thaw in Nicholas's frost. He ran the reservoir loop, Andrew sinking stride, their breaths a duet. Therapy, Andrew panted. You need it. I do too, Paul's pushing. Nicholas balked, sweat stinging. Talk to each other? Talking's half. Digging's the rest. Andrew halted, hands on knees. For Marco's ghost. For Gran's. For us. The idea lodged. Stubborn. That week, Nicholas booked a session, discreet Park Avenue shrink. Rainbow flag discreet in the window. Dr. Ellis, a silver fox lesbian with a noble shit drawl, leaned back. Start with the betrayal. Which, Nicholas quipped, but unpacked Evelyn's kitchen tableau, the caseworker's grip on Andrew's arm, his own frozen tongue. Silence is complicity, Ellis said, not unkind. But kids forgive. Adults choose. Nicholas left lighter, texting Andrew, signed up. Your fault. Good twin. Reply Paul's in too. Group date? The group date was tapas in the East Village. Laughter over patatas bravas. Javier arrived fashionably late, tall, tawny-skinned, with a sculptor's hands and a laugh like gravel and honey. Paul's matchmaker now? He teased, kissing cheeks European style, lingering on Nicholas's. Conversation crackled. Javier's bronzes in MoMA's collection, Nicholas's corporate conquests. Andrew and Paul bantered, feet tangling under table, oblivious to the spark across. By sangria's end, Javier's card burned Nicholas's palm. Coffee? Solo. He texted yes, pulse quick. Tuscany dawned golden. A chartered flight courtesy Paul's connections, JFK to Pisa, then winding roads to Chianti Hills. The villa perched on a cypress ridge, terracotta roofs, infinity pool gazing at vineyards. Andrew hooped arrival, claiming the master suite with Paul. Nicholas and Javier took the guest house, twin beds a tease. Days blurred into idle, sunrise hikes, where Javier's fingers brushed Nicholas's on rocky paths. Wine tastings, Andrew's voice trilling Italian arias for laughs. Evenings on the terrace, stars pricking velvet sky, Paul's guitar strumming folk tunes. Javier opened slow, tales of Mexico City youth, fleeing cartel shadows for art school in Madrid. Sculpting's rebellion, he said one dusk, chiseling a vine leaf from olive wood. Shaping chaos, Nicholas watched, mesmerized. Like therapy, their first kiss came poolside, midnight swim, water lapping as Javier pulled him close. Your chaos worth shaping, he murmured, lips salt-tangy. It deepened, hands exploring, bodies buoyant, but Nicholas broke it, gasping, slow. Please, Javier nodded, as kind. As slow as you need. Andrew caught the afterglow next morning over Cornetti. Finally, he stage whispered, Paul chuckling. About time you floated. The trip wove them tighter. A Florence day trip. David's marble gaze mirroring their vulnerabilities. A storm-trapped night. Board games turning confessional. Paul admitting his straight years. A beard for small-town eyes. Andrew squeezed his hand. Mine too, Nicholas. Emboldened. Shared the hayloft memory. Not the kiss, but the hiding after. Javier listened. Arm around shoulders. Solid. Returned to New York crash-landed reality. Theo's ghost lingered. A random sighting in Soho. Arm in arm with a redhead. Nicholas ducking into an alley. Heart hammer. He confessed to Javier over faux. Ex-baggage. Javier's shrug was Gallic. We all carry. Question is, unpack. Therapy helped. Ellis probing the twin bond. Enmeshment's double-edged. Love, but let go. Nicholas bristled, but mulled. Andrew's orbit tightened with Paul. Shared lease talks. A weekend in the Hamptons. Moving in, Nicholas asked over burgers at Shake Shack. Thinking, Andrew hedged, ketchup-smeared grin. You and Jay, exclusive. Maybe, truth. Javier's studio visits. Clay under nails. Bodies molding like wet earth. But May's heatwave broodstorm. Nicholas's firm downsized, his job on the block. Panic clawed. He doubled down. 80-hour weeks. Canceling with Javier. Rain check. Texts piled. Andrew noticed. Cornering him post-choir. You're vanishing. Again. Survival. Snap. Andrew's face hardened. Evelyn's echo. Don't be her. Work's not the twin. The fight spilled. Nicholas accusing clinginess. Andrew hurling self-sabotage. You push everyone, Theo. Now Jay. Because losing me scarred you stupid. Scarred us. Nicholas roared. Church echoes amplifying. Paul hovered distant. Choir dispersing awkward. Andrew deflated. Fix it. Or lose me too. Nicholas stormed out, rain lashing, hailing a cab to Javier's. The sculptor answered shirtless, concern etching. What happened? Andrew. Me. Everything. Collapse, sobs on Javier's chest. The story tumbling. Separation, reunion, the fear that love was finite. Javier held him, rocking. Love's infinite. Messy, but infinite. Morning brought clarity. Nicholas called Andrew voicemail. Sorry. Therapy today. Lunch after. Reply yes. Love you. The session with Ellis was brutal. Betrayals your lens. Change it. Homework. Write Evelyn a letter. Unsent. Nicholas did. At Central Park benches. Pen slashing, you broke us. But we mended. Fuck you. Burned it in a fountain. Ashes swirling like absolution. Lunch with Andrew. Falafel wraps. Tentative peace. Paul's proposing a family. His kids. You in. As uncle, Nicholas grinned. Always. Javier met them for sunset drinks. The four a constellation reforming. But June's solstice whispered warning. Andrew's cough. Dry at first. Dismissed as allergies. Nicholas ignored it. Lost in Javier's world. Joint exhibit opening. Nicholas's suit swapped for jeans. Toasting bronzes that captured their tangle. Theo's redhead sighting faded. Javier's I love you over gelato sealed new chapters. Yet the cough persisted. Andrew waving it off at barbecues. Paul's brow furrowing. Doctor, Nicholas urged one humid eve. Hay fever, Andrew scoffed. But booked the appointment. Twin promise. July's inferno peaked with the diagnosis. Early-stage lung cancer. Smoker's shadow from foster stress cigs. Andrew delivered it over diner pie. Face ashen. Beat Marco's odds. Chemo. Then clear. Paul wept. Javier gripped Nicholas's hand under table. We're in, Nicholas vowed. Voice steel. The fight began, infusions. Nausea. Andrew's baritone fraying to rasp. Nicholas juggled work severance, he quit. Freelance consulting. Javier's support group intros. Paul's meal trains. Nights blurred. Hospital vigils. Andrew's hand in his. Whispering hymns. You're my rock, Andrew rasped. For dripping. Twins, Nicholas replied. Throat lump. August's remission tease, scans clear, brought fragile hope. Tuscany sequel. Just brothers. Amalfi Coast. Sea air healing. They swam naked coves. Laughing like boys. Andrew's voice strengthening in salt wind. Back home. Full bloom. Paul's ring on Andrew's finger. Courthouse wedding with Javier officiating, ordained online. Joke. Nicholas best man. Vows choking him. Through dangers. Toils. Honeymoon deferred, Andrew's follow-ups. But Nicholas and Javier escaped to Fire Island. Dunes and dances. Love unscarred. Fall's turn. Though. Brought the shadow back. Cough returned. Deeper. Scans. Metastasis. Months, the oncologist said. Kind eyes pitying. Denial raged. Second opinions. Trials. Andrew planned anyway. Sing one last Messiah. Paul nodded. Tears. Nicholas bargained with gods he'd mocked. November chill mirrored the church that day. St. Bees packed. Andrew's solo a miracle. Voice defying frailty. Post-recital. Green room quiet. He pulled Nicholas aside. The farm. Take me. Road trip redux. SUV south. Paul driving. Javier shotgun. Andrew beside Nicholas. Blanket wrapped. Kentucky fields gold fading. The house sold but creek eternal. They scattered wildflowers, Andrew's choice, into current, his hand limp in Nicholas's. Forgive her, Andrew whispered. Not yet, Nicholas kissed his forehead. But you. Always, Andrew smiled, fading. Love you, twin. See you. After. He slipped that night. Under stars. Paul sobbing. Javier holding Nicholas as earth claimed. Graveside. Next dawn. Simple pine box. Hymns Andrew penned. Nicholas spoke. He sang through storms. We carry the tune. Back in New York. Winter gripped. Paul shuddered. Retreating to Jersey kids. Javier anchored. Studio a sanctuary. Nicholas grieved raw therapy double. Runs till collapse. Letters poured. From choir mates. Foster's Andrew mentored. He saved me with song. Spring's thaw brought green shoots. Nicholas visited the farm solo. Creek murmuring absolution. He scattered his own regrets. Evelyn's letter remnants. Theo's ghost texts deleted. Javier proposed on the high line. Ring simple gold. Shape this with me? Yes. Nicholas breathed. Future unfolding. Andrew's headstone. Etched. Sang his grace. Amazing. Nicholas visited monthly. Singing off-key. I once was lost. Voice cracking. But carrying on. The first anniversary of Andrew's passing hit like a subway gust. Unseen. Forceful. Scattering Nicholas's fragile equilibrium. December 2026 dawned brittle. Frost etching the condo windows like accusations. The skyline a accusatory gray. Javier had risen early. Leaving coffee and a note. Fire Island later? Breathe. But Nicholas waved it off. Cocooning in flannel sheets. Andrew's old choir robe. Pilfered from the funeral. Smelling faintly of sandalwood. Clutched like talisman. He'd sold the firm partnership months back. Parlaying it into a quiet life. Consulting gigs from home. Voice lessons with Paul's old assistant, a lark. His baritone still rusty. Javier's sculptures sold steady. Their loft now in Brooklyn. Converted warehouse. High ceilings for his work. A guest room for Paul's visits. The wedding band on Nicholas's finger caught light. A vow forged in fire. But grief was a thief. Stealing breath at odd hours. That morning, the mail brought a package. Manila envelope. Postmarked Kentucky. From the farm's new owners. Inside, a thumb drive. Labeled for the Hales. Heart hammering. Nicholas plugged it in home video. Grainy VHS transfer. Evelyn. Post-stroke. Frail in a nursing home chair. Addressing the camera. If you're watching, boys. I was wrong. Fears the devil. Andrew. Wherever you are, come home. Nicholas. Tell him. Her voice cracked. Eyes wet. Cut off abrupt. Nicholas played it thrice. Tears carving tracks. He called Paul Jersey line. Kids' cartoons blaring background. You see this? Paul's sigh was winded. Yeah. Sent it months ago. Thought. Maybe. She's dust. But this. Nicholas gripped the phone. Knuckles white. Feels like unfinished. Paul paused. Andrew forgave in the end. Said it at the creek. Let it go. Nicky. The words landed partial. Nicholas hung up, dialing Javier. Come home. Need you. Javier arrived with falafel, Andrew's favorite, arms enveloping. They watched the tape together, Javier's hand steady on knee. Closure's a process, he murmured. Not a switch. That night, tangled in sheets, bodies familiar terrain, Nicholas confessed, miss his voice. Every day, Javier kissed scars, literal, from a boyhood barn fall, figurative, from losses piled. He sings in you. January thawed the ice, but not the hollow. Nicholas threw into legacy, a scholarship fund, Andrew Hale Voices, for queer youth in foster care. Fundraisers at St. B's. Paul's choir donating proceeds. Javier auctioning a bronze twin bust. Uncannily Andrew. Eyes alive. Donors wept. Nicholas spoke. Voice steady. He taught me harmony in discord. Paul softened post-event. Over whiskey at the Eagle. Dating again. Slowly. A barista. Young but kind. Nicholas toasted. To new verses. His own life with Javier deepened. Cooking classes. Disastrous paella. Weekends in the Catskills. Hiking till blisters bonded. But Andrew's absence echoed in silences. A half-set place at dinner. A paused Spotify playlist of arias. Spring 2027 bloomed vengeful. Pollen choking. Nicholas's allergies flaring like old coughs. At the docks. Routine check. Clear, the man said. But lungs remember stress. Nicholas laughed bitter. Tell me about it. Therapy with Ellis evolved. Group now. Queer widowers. Stories swapping like cards. One vet shared. My Joe haunts the fridge. His damn hot sauce. Laughter cathartic. Nicholas admitted. Andrew's robe. Sleep with it still. Ellis nodded. Transition object. Ready to retire. Not yet. But he washed it. Folding gentle into a cedar box with the thumb drive. Evelyn's video looped once more. Come home. Summer sweltered. Fire Island a ritual. Dunes whispering secrets. Bonfires where Nicholas scattered Andrew's ashes yearly. Vial from the creek. Javier joined. Their love a quiet flame amid revelers. One night, under meteor shower, Javier carved their initials in sand. N and J. Forever. Cheesy, Nicholas teased, but kissed deep. Paul's wedding came August, courthouse redux. Barista Bo beaming. Nicholas officiated, vows mirroring his own. Through toils, reception at a rooftop, skyline forgiving. Paul pulled him aside. Andrew'd be proud. He is. Nicholas clinked glasses. Eyes pricking. Fall brought harvest. The fund's first recipient. A teen named Eli, foster kid. Tenor sweet. Eyes haunted like Andrew's at 14. Nicholas mentored. Lessons in the loft. Javier modeling resilience. Art's armor. Use it. Eli's recital St. B's. Full circle drew tears. Andrew's plaque gleamed naveside. Sang his grace. Post-show. Nicholas hugged the boy. Your family now. Thanksgiving gathered them. Paul and new husband. Javier's sculptor pals. Eli tentative. Table groaned, turkey. Tamales. Tails. Nicholas carved. Voice steady. To those here. And gone. We carry on. Christmas echoed the first. Quiet. Javier's gift a locket. Andrew's photo inside. Tiny choir robe sketch. Nicholas wept. Then made love slow. gratitude fierce. But January 2028 cracked open old wounds. A letter from Ohio. Foster sibling Andrew mentioned once. Woman named Clara. Claiming debts owed. Inside. Andrew's boyhood sketchbook. Pages of boys in hay. Faces blurred but tender. Note, he left this. Said it was for his twin. Godspeed. Nicholas pored over it. Javier over shoulder. Publish? With his blessing. The idea ignited. Nicholas pitched. Memoir. Twin notes. Andrew's sketches. Nicholas's prose. Evelyn's video transcribed. Agent snapped it. Auction wild. Paul contributed forward. His voice. Eternal. Launch party. Fall 2028. Brooklyn Bookstore. Packed. Eli read excerpts. Voice breaking. Javier unveiled bust. Nicholas spoke last. Andrew found me singing in church. I found him in silence. This is our duet. Signings stretched late. Fans sharing stories, lost loves reclaimed. One man, silver-haired, approached. Your brother saved me. 90s chorus. ACT up marches. Nicholas hugged him. Stranger no more. Post-launch high crash gentle. Javier's MoMA retrospective. Nicholas curating. Nerves frayed. What if they hate it? Javier fretted. They'll love. Nicholas soothed. Echoing Andrew. Opening night. Crowds. Critics raving raw power. Javier's speech. To Nick, my muse. My twin soul. Love deepened. Rings exchanged vows yearly, renewals on the high line. Andrew's hymn hummed. But 2029's winter whispered by. Scans for Nicholas. Precaution. Spot, Doc said. Benign. Relief flooded. But shadow taught. Life finite. Nicholas proposed legacy trip. Kentucky. With Eli. Farm reborn under new owners, vineyard now. Tastings amid vines. They poured Andrew's share. Pinot Noir. His favorite, into creek. Eli sketched the scene. Talent blooming. Paul's family grew. Adoption papers. A girl named Aria fitting. Visits frequent. Her giggles filling silences. Spring 2030. Eli's Juilliard acceptance. Funds milestone. Nicholas and Javier parented from afar, advice. Not apron strings. Anniversary 10 approached. Grief season to ache sweet. Nicholas retired the robe fully. Donating to the funds dorm. For new voices. Evelyn's tape, archived. Played once yearly with Javier. Paul. Toasting. To complicated loves. Summer idol. Amalfi redux. Javier and Nicholas alone. Seas calming. Write our story? Javier asked. Toes in surf. Already living it. Fall harvest. Twin notes paperback. Royalties seeding scholarships. Eli's debut. Met opera understudy. Nicholas front row. Tears proud. Thanksgiving. Expanded table, Paul's family. Eli's partner. A cellist. Javier's kin via Zoom. Toasts long. To Andrew. To us. Christmas. Locket opened. Andrew's smile eternal. January 2031. Paul's call. Aria's first recital. Bees. Full circle. Nicholas arrived early. Pew creaking under memory. Aria's soprano soared. Innocent. Pure. Post curtsy. She hugged. Uncle Nick, sing with me. He did off-key twinkle. Crowd charmed. Paul beamed. He'd love this. He does. Life wove on. Javier's knighthood. Art's Honor. Nicholas's TED Talk, reunions, blood and chosen. Applause thundered. Backstage, Javier kissed. My hero. Grief's waves receded. Ripples now. Andrew in dreams. Advisory. Not haunting. Therapy closed. You've graduated, Ellis said. Keep singing. 2032's bloom. Eli's wedding. Nicholas walking him aisle. Like brothers. Vows echoed. Through snares. Old age crept graceful. 60's silvering curls. Javier's hands gnarled but sure. Brooklyn loft home. Walls bronze-dotted. Andrew's plaque photo-framed. Winter 2040. Snow soft. Nicholas 67. Javier beside. Cough tickled. Age. Not cancer. Sing. Javier prompted. Nicholas hummed. Amazing grace. Voice weathered but true. Paul visited. Aria grown vocal major. Grandpa Drew's stories, she said. Tell more. They did. Fireside. Spring thaw. Creek pilgrimage. Grandkids in tow. Paul's line. Eli's. Ashes scattered? No, seeds planted. Voices sown. Summer solstice. Javier's exhibit finale. Nicholas unveiling. Twin flames. Sculpture of two men entwined. Eternal. Fall. Book sequel. Echoes Eli's forward. Thanksgiving, tables groaning. Generations. Christmas. Locket past, areas now. January 2045. Nicholas 80. Javier gone 3 years, heart. Peaceful. Paul passed 2. But echoes. Alone? No family web. Cough deepened. But he walked St. B's. Knave whispering. Final recital. Areas solo. Nicholas guest. Voice frail. But joined. How sweet the sound. Collapse post hospital hush. Eli at bedside. Uncle? Like Andrew. Smile. Found him. Again. Eyes closed. Graceful. Funeral St. B's packed. Aria singing Messiah. Javier's bust flanked by Andrew's. Twins eternal. Eulogy. Eli. Nicholas sang through silence. We carry the chorus. Graveside. Creekside. Ashes mingled, brothers. Lovers. Legacy. Spring bloomed defiant. Voices rising. Decades folded like sheet music. Each crease a note in the symphony of survival. But for Nicholas Hale, the coda lingered longest. A quiet fermata where Andrew's baritone harmonized with the rustle of Brooklyn leaves. It was 2055, and at 82, Nicholas moved through his days with the deliberate grace of a man who'd outlived tempests, his frame lean but unbowed, silver mane cropped short against the creeping chill of autumn. The loft, once Javier's forge of bronzes, now hummed with softer echoes. Aria's vinyl collection spinning Sinatra on lazy Sundays, Eli's holograms of past recitals flickering in the corner like benevolent ghosts. Javier had gone first. In 2042, a stroke swift as a downbeat, leaving Nicholas to navigate the adagio alone. They'd had 40 years, a tapestry of travels and triumphs, sabbaticals in Provence, where Javier taught carving to village boys, joint lectures at Yale, Nicholas on corporate redemption, Javier on forms forgiveness. Their love had weathered plateaus, arguments over gallery egos, Nicholas's freelance droughts, but always crested in reconciliation, bodies and souls realigning like constellations. Javier's last words. Hospital bed soft. Keep shaping. Mi amor. The clay's yours. Paul followed in 2048. Complications from a fall. His barista husband, Tom, steady as oak, holding the vigil. The Jersey house sold. Proceeds to the fund. Now a network. Hail Voices. Chapters in 10 cities. Mentoring thousands. Arya, Paul's granddaughter, had taken the choral reins at St. B's. Her voice a bridge, soprano clear, laced with her grandfather's warmth. Eli, the protege turned son in heart, visited weekly from his Met directorship. Partner Luca in tow, cello's timbre to Eli's tenor. Their twins, 5-year-old Sophia and Matteo, scampered the loft, demanding Uncle Nick stories. Nicholas obliged, embellishing. Your great-uncle Andrew once sang a storm quiet, thunder paused mid-growl. But the true heirloom was the silence he'd mastered. Not Evelyn's weapon, but a space for memory's breath. Therapy's lessons endured. Annual check-ins with Ellis's successor, a non-binary therapist named Riley, who probed gently, "How's the twin today?" Advising, Nicholas would say, tapping the locket now areas, but borrowed for sessions. Inside, Andrew and Javier side by side, grins defiant. That October, the fund's gala loomed Lincoln Center, silver anniversary. Nicholas, honorary chair, fretted wardrobe, tux or velvet jacket. Arya settled it. Velvet. Channel Andrew's flair. Rehearsals buzzed. Eli conducting. Arya soloing How Great Thou Art, Andrew's favorite. Nicholas watched from wings. Heart swell. Backstage. A surprise. The Kentucky couple. Farm-turned-vineyard owners. Bearing a bottle-etched Hail's Grace. From the creek vines, the woman said. Your brother's soil. Tears pricked. He toasted privately that night. Javier's urn on mantle. To roots reclaimed. Gala night glittered, donors in finery. Holograms of ments past performing virtual duets. Nicholas's speech. Scripted loose. 35 years ago, I heard a voice in church. It wasn't God's. It was my twins, calling me home. Andrew taught that family isn't blood alone. It's the song we choose to sing together. Pauses for applause. But he pressed, betrayals scar, grandmothers who fear, silences that sever. But romance, that's the mend. Javier shaped my edges, Andrew my core. Tonight, we honor the human hum, queer, resilient, unbroken. Standing ovation thundered. Arya hugged fierce. Grandpa Drew's proud. Post-party. Loft quiet. Eli poured scotch. The book sequel? Ready? Twin echoes. Project long gestating. Nicholas's memoir coda. Laced with Javier's letters. Andrew's sketches digitized. Spring, he decided. Let it breathe. Winter wrapped gentle. Holidays a mosaic. Arya's wedding to a composer. Simple. Bees. Snow confetti. Nicholas walked her. Arm steady. Like Eli. Full circle. Vows. Through every danger. Guests wept. Matteo, ring-bearer, yawned mid-ceremony. New Year's. Family crammed loft. Toasts to Paul, Javier, Andrew, Sophia. Precocious. Uncle Nick. Sing the storm one. He did. Voice quaver but true. Kids giggling at thunder mimic. Spring 2056 bloomed verdant. Echoes launch at the farm vineyard pavilion. Creek murmuring approval. Ment's read excerpts. Kentucky mayor proclaimed Hail Day. Nicholas signed till wrists ached. Fans young as Eli once was. You give hope. One lingered. a foster teen, sketchbook clutched. Mr. Hale? Like Andrew. Drew faces in secret. Nicholas pulled him sit. Show me. Pages bloomed, boys tender. Haylofts imagined. Publish with us. Fund covers. The boy's grin, Andrew's echo sealed it. Summer idled sweet. Fire Island with grandkids. Dunes teaching resilience. Mateo built sand twins. Sophia sang off-key arias. Javier's beach photo. Framed in locket. Watched. Fall harvest. Vineyard visit. Bottles labeled Twin Reserve. Nicholas poured for Riley. Therapy rap. Closed loop. Open symphony. Riley smiled. You're conducting. Thanksgiving. Tables span generations. Luca's Italian kin. Area's composer clan. Stories swirled. Paul's salsa mishaps. Javier's clay explosions. Nicholas carved. To betrayals burned. Love's eternal. Christmas. Locket past full, Sophia's turn. Tiny fingers tracing. Great-great-uncle Andrew? Guides you, Nicholas whispered. January 2057. Cough returned. Familiar rasp. Scans. Age, Doc soothed. Manageable, but Nicholas knew rhythms. He planned. Amalfi. Solo pilgrimage, Javier's seas calling. Flight south. Villa same, Cyprus guardians. Swam coves. Voice echoing arias to waves. Creek vial empty, but heart full. Return, St. B's Easter. Area's Messiah. Nicholas joined chorus. Baritone frail but fervent. Worthy is the Lamb. Collapse gentle. Pew to ambulance. Family swarming. Eli bedside. Rest. Uncle. Dancing, Nicholas murmured. With them. Eyes closed. Grace cascading. Andrew's hand extended. Javier's laugh. Paul's clap. Twins reunited. Song unending. Funeral. Creekside. Hybrid vineyard streamed. St. B's choir hybrid. Aria eulogized. Grandpa Nicholas harmonized hurts into hope. He found his twin in church. We found ours in him. Ashes to current. Mingled eternal. Mentz sang Amazing Grace. Voices rising. Once lost. Now found. Legacy bloomed. Fund global. Hail Voices app mentoring virtual. Eli directed Met's Rent revival. Andrew's spirit in every no day but today. Sophia. Teen now. Sketch twins in bronze, Javier's medium. For the plaza, she said. St. B's square. Statues. Nicholas and Andrew embracing. Javier and Paul flanking. Plaque. Sang through storms. Join the chorus. Humanity's hum. Betrayal to bond. Silence to song. In America's heart. Farms to spires. The twins' tale whispered. Love redeems. Voices endure.